Hey folks, this is Jack. Listen, I've got to make a couple of these little step stools over the weekend here for my niece's babies. And I made one of these, geez, a lot of years ago for my grandkids. And matter of fact, it still sits right now in our main bathroom, just because my wife always thought it was neat. So here, I'll show you what's cool about this thing. It acts as a real nice little bench that they can sit in the living room, watch TV, or their bedroom, or whatever. And let me show you what else it does here real quick. That back that they use for the as a stool back, that thing rotates down and sits on the floor, and it makes a little 3.5 inch up to 7 inch step for the babies, to help them get up to the sink, wash their hands, or get them a drink of water, or whatever they want to do. And you know, this is literally a 1 hour project that cost a couple of bucks to make, and it just doesn't amount to much. And that's why every time I turn around, somebody's having a baby, they come wanting 1 or 2 of these. So it is a neat little project. All I did here was start off with a 12-inch long piece of 1x8. Now 1x8 is actually only 7.25 inches wide after you get done machining it. After you cut your board to 12 inches long, come over 2 3/8 from both sides, and then down 1 inch. Make 2 marks, and then cut it right down to the corner. All right. Now, before you cut this piece here off, you want to mark over 5 inches and up 2 5/8 inches. Put a center there, and then drill a 3/8 inch hole right through there. Okay. And when you get done, you want to round these corners. I rounded mine to about a 3/4 inch radius. Just after you round those corners off and drill the hole through there, that's going to be the leg. Now you want to make 2 of these. Make them identical. Now once you get your 2 legs cut, right, and you got your holes in there, cut a piece of 1x4, 12 inches long. This is a little piece of 1x4. It's 3/4 inches by 3.5 inches. And center that right between these 2 boards. Just make sure it's centered on the center here and the center here. Make sure it's good and flush with the top of these 2 legs. Make sure your holes are in the back side here where they belong. And put a hefty glue on there, and then run a couple of 2-inch deck screws from this side right into that piece of wood. I'd run 3 of them in there. Always drill a pilot hole first, alright? Drill a small pilot hole, otherwise it'll crack your wood. And make sure these legs are sitting on a good flat surface when you do that. Make sure it's good and square, end to end. Otherwise it'll wobble a little bit when you sit on it or stand on it. Okay, now we're going to take another piece of 1x8, cut it off 15 1/8 inches long. Okay. Now once you do that, then come in 1 3/16 inch. It's kind of hard to see there. 1 3/16 inch in from both sides, and cut away 6.25 inches of that, leaving a 1 inch ear back here. Okay. And then just smooth all these surfaces here. This is going to be the seat. So round all these surfaces, these 3 surfaces, real good. Now once you get that seat cut out and the edges rounded real good, you want to lay it right on your base assembly here. Make sure the sides are good and square with the legs. Again, always keep it on a real good flat surface, so this bottom is parallel with this bottom, otherwise it'll wobble. Put a little glue on the surfaces of your 2 legs. Drill some pilot holes down through there. Probably about 3 again on each side. And run your 2-inch screws right down in there to make sure them 2-inch deck screw heads are good and flush with your board here. And you see your ears sticking out. Now, by the way, when you cut out this cutout right here, don't run a circular saw in and chop over this line too much, because you want this piece of wood here to be good and solid. That's going to be the stop for the seat back. Okay? Okay, now we're going to make 2 of these arms that's going to hold the bottom step or the seat back, whichever one you want to call it. What we're going to do there is take a 1x4, 14 9/16 inches long, Then you're going to come up 9 1/16 and cut it right in half. So you'll end up with 3/4 inch by 4 or 9 1/16. All right, and that'll leave you a square up here that's 5.5 inches long. Just take the top off a small coffee can, and lay it on there for a pattern, and cut these rounds on there. You want those a nice big round. And once you get 2 of those cut out, then this is kind of important that this is pretty accurate. Let me zoom up on this a little bit. You want to come into the bottom, in from the bottom, up 1 inch, and then find the center part of the board. It's going to be 7/8 of an inch over to the center, and drill a 3/8 inch hole through there. All right. Now, once you get this part made, I don't have it drawn on here, but what we're going to do next is take a 1 3/4 inch long piece of 3/8 inch dowel rod, both of these holes. And what you're going to do is apply glue to the inside of the hole, and then from the inside you're going to shove that dowel rod in so it's flush with the outside of the board. Okay? So they're going to be a little different, because on one you're going to shove it from this side, and then the other one, of course, you're going to shove it from the inside over here till it's flush with the outside of the board. You want to shove those dowel rods through that hole till it's flush on the outside of the board here. And then you do this definitely before you attach this seat to it. Okay, now the next board you're going to cut is this. You're going to take a piece of 1/6, 15 1/8 inches long. Then what we need to do is come in about 2 3/4 inches in from both ends and make a mark, and just put a little radius on there. What that does is when they're folding this lid down, if they got their fingers in there, it reduces the chance of getting a finger pinch. I'm terrified of getting a finger pinch. Babies don't need their furniture to hurt them. Now it gets fun. What you're going to do is take this leg assembly that you made with that piece of 3/8 inch dowel sticking through there, and stick it right through that hole. Now what you need to do first is slide a thin metal washer on there. You need a metal washer for a 3/8 inch bolt, so it's got the 3/8 or a little bit bigger hole in there. Slide it right over that dowel to kind of space this board away from this one a little bit, so it'll roll them down easily. Slide that thing over there and just shove that through that hole. Work it a few times to make sure it works easy. So once you get both of those slid into these holes, then take your back here, or make sure this whole thing is sitting on a good flat surface, okay? Apply a little glue where this board's going to mate with the arms. Drill some pilot holes, about 3 of them, and run your screws right down through into here. Okay? Once you get that done, then you can pivot this up, and it'll be a chair, or pivot it down. You got this nice little 2-step ladder. One other thing that I did, and you want to do, is go in right underneath here on both sides, or one side, it don't matter, and go over a little ways, but go right into here and drill another 3/8 inch hole down from this surface just a little bit through the leg. But just go below here a little bit, right in that area, drill a 3/8 hole, take an 1.5 inch long piece of dowel rod and round the end of that thing real good, round the end of that dowel rod, but just put some glue inside the hole here, stick that piece of dowel rod in there flush with the inside. That ought to leave about 3/4 inches sticking out on this side over here to keep this from swinging on down. Okay, then sand the tar out of every surface on here. Finish it however you like. Put a little stain on there and some polyurethane varnish, and that little guy will last you a long, long time. Listen, have fun with it.